to take a book like Revelation and to apply it to what's going on in your life today or in the world today is called the Pesher method. And the Essenes used the Pesher method of interpreting the Scriptures in their time. Now, it really wasn't done all that much before then, but they took these books and they said, this is talking about our time today. How does it apply to us today? And Christians do that a lot, and we can get ourselves in serious trouble.
So I would imagine that at this time, you probably are not in alignment or in harmony with end times prophecy.
Well, there are a lot of people who think that we are because everything that's bad that happens brings us closer to this end game, and it's the end game, the war between good and evil that you're looking for. So no matter what happens, you can align that with what's going on.
Got it.
You can make it say whatever you want it to say.
Why do we all think we are the remnant? And explain what the remnant is.
The remnant are the people who are left, who are doing the will of God after, it's almost like they are the best of the best, and that's why it's called the remnant. You can have the church, but the church isn't necessarily the remnant because we know that that there's going to be a great apostasy, a great falling away, and there's going to be a lot of lukewarmness within the church, and then you're going to have those people who are the remnant who are still hanging in there and doing all the things that they think they should be doing, and that's the people that God's going to come back and save. And within every religion, you have this idea of the remnant. We call it we for and no more. Because you have a people who are going to church and doing the things that they think about doing, but they just don't quite have it right because they don't quite understand everything they need to understand. But we understand it, you see. So we are the remnant, and people think like that. As a theologian, I can tell you that theology is the height of arrogance. To think that we can study God, that's what the word means, right? That we can study God has got to be the height of all human arrogance, followed closely by the fact that we think we actually have it figured out. Or maybe that's on top, I'm not quite sure yet, but religiosity is the cancer of mankind. It causes more hate, more war. As a student of mine says, religion, you can't have a war without it.
You're a martial artist, aren't you?
Yes.
Talk a little bit about your background in the martial arts. You've been a martial artist for over, 30 years?
Yes, this is my 37th or 38th year. I had to stop to figure that out.
Share a little bit about that with us.
Well, the group is called Shinsei Hapkido. Shinsei is a word that in Korean means a debt of gratitude, and in Japanese means nova, a new beginning, a new birth. We're a very, very old arm of Hapkido, and Hapkido is a Korean art. And here's another thing relating back to religion. We always think that our religion and our practices are ancient. We talk about these ancient methods. Well, karate started in the 1920s, and Hapkido started in the 1960s as their pure art form. So we've been around since the 60s. We track our lineage back to Che or Choi, who was the founder, and he stole his art from a master of Aikijitsu out of Japan when he was there during the Japanese involvement in Korea. And he was apparently a houseboy that was probably captured, taken. We don't know. They say adopted, but I doubt it.
Why do you doubt it?
Well, people we are romantics, and we want to clean up and rewrite our history. But if a Japanese warrior had a Korean houseboy, he wasn't adopted. He was a servant.
I got it.
And although we want to say that he was practicing on the mat with his master, he probably wasn't. He was probably looking through a crack in the wall, and he was probably practicing on his own. So he brought back this art, which looked a lot like Aikijitsu, and it became known after a while as Hapkido.
And why do people practice this particular martial art, and how is it distinct from, let's say, karate or...
Hapkido is actually a mixed martial art. Ours even more so because we've actually gone back and put more ground technique and throws and judo in it. But Hapkido has kicks and punches like karate or taekwondo, and it has throws that look a lot like Aikido, only they're smaller, or short circle jiu-jitsu, small circle jiu-jitsu. Ours has a lot of judo-like throws in them from an art called Yudo, which is a Korean art of judo. So it's a mixed martial art, and since I run American bell bonding, which makes me de facto a bounty hunter, these things are used on the streets to keep me alive.
Wow.
The family business is bell bonding. That goes back a couple of generations. And then I run Fifth Estate. But when we have a skip going on, somebody's trying to get away without going to court, we have to track him down, capture him, and bring him back.
You have to be really skillful to do that on a lot of levels.
We have been in so few fights, it's ridiculous, because you don't have the dog, the bounty hunter mentality. It is a tactical, persuasive mentality that allows you to find and negotiate with these guys. And we have only been in combat a couple of times because we are careful and we are tactical.
What an interesting life you have as a publisher, an author, and a bounty hunter. What an interesting life. And a martial artist.
Being one-dimensional. There are different ways of viewing life, and one is a Hebrew way, and one is a Greco-Roman way. The Greeks wanted people to be very, very good in one thing, and they would drill down really deep, and they had their doctors and their philosophers and everything else. But the Jews, they wanted you to know a little bit about everything. And so if you drop the Jew off in the desert, he's going to recreate society for you. If you drop a Greek off in the desert, he's going to die. Because he's one-dimensional. Now, that's obviously a generalization. Please don't write Kim or myself and say how, anti-Greek I am. I'm very, very, I'm just being myself and I'm speaking in hyperbole.
What would Fernando Klein say about what the essence of his book is telling us?
The essence of this book is to make us re-examine and reconsider the Qumran and Essene community at the time. It is not what we thought. It is probably two different groups. It is probably more complicated than we thought. They coexisted in the same area, but they were not identical. They had different influences on the people around them, including Jesus. Jesus was in the area, probably a member of one or both of these groups. These groups, although they were small, the Essenes only had 4,000 people over 200 years. They weren't big at all. But they were so adamant about their belief that belief may have influenced our very beginnings as the Christian church.
Is Fernando Klein's work becoming more accepted? Has he met with a lot of resistance or opposition? What is your knowledge of how this book is being received?
I believe that there have always been, when the very beginning came out, you have a group of people who tend to kind of gather up on what we will call the more simplistic viewpoint, and they don't want to come off of it. But the more scholarly research is being done, the more Dr. Klein's work is being proven out. So I guess to answer your question,